Hey everybody, so today I'm going to teach you guys about the interior angle sum theorem. Okay, the interior angle sum theorem, which says that if you have any triangle, any size triangle, it can be a big one, small one, fat one, skinny one, you name it, any triangle that has three angles, we'll say X, Y, Z. The three interior angles add up to equal 180 degrees. So X plus Y plus Z, this plus that equals 180 degrees. So that's the interior sum theorem. So I need to teach you guys about this and then kind of how it works. Let me kind of explain where it comes from. So you have some triangle. It has some triangle here. And let's say this angle here is 30 degrees. This angle here, we'll say, is 70 degrees. Find the missing angle. Well, we know that the three angles add up to equal 180 degrees. So this angle, 30, plus that angle, 70, plus whatever angle that is, has to equal 180 degrees. So we have an equation. 30 plus 70 is 100. Plus something equals 180. Subtract 100 from both sides because we're undoing the addition. That cancels out. You're left with X equals 180 minus 100, which is 80 degrees. So that means that this missing angle has to be 80 degrees because 80 plus 30 is 110 plus 70 is 180 degrees. So that checks out. Now let me teach you why they add up to 180 degrees. And here's kind of a quick way of doing it. If I take a square where each corner is a right corner, which means each corner is 90 degrees. 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degree corner. Well, all the angles of a square add up to equal, well, 90 plus 90 plus 99 times 4, 36. So all of it adds up to equal 360 degrees. Well, if you remember, to make a triangle is half of a square or rectangle. Or if I take a diagonal line and cut this square in half, I have a triangle here, I have a triangle there. Okay, so I'm going to take this, draw it over here. There's that top triangle. Well, if it used to be 360 degrees for the square, but I cut it in half, 360 degrees divided by 2, that means 180 degrees is left over. So the three angles, which there would then be 45, 90, and 45, because I cut them in half, would add up to equal 180 degrees. So therefore, the interior angle sum theorem says all three angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Well, you could then say that triangles are supplementary. Triangles are supplementary. Which means like a supplementary angle is when you have two or more angles that add up to 180 degrees. So like, for example, this is a straight line, so that means that line is 180 degrees. So if this angle right here is 120 degrees, then what has to be left over? Well, 180 minus 120 is 60 degrees. Triangle is the same way. But in this case, instead of adding up two numbers, we're adding up three numbers. 30 plus, 60 plus 90. Didn't draw that correct, but 30 plus 60 plus 90 equals 180 degrees. Okay? So now let me kind of give you an example of how this works. So I got some problems here for you guys just to try out. Wrong side there. Got some problems here. Like, for example, it says find the measure of each angle indicated. So it says this angle is 65 and that one is 57. Well, I know that 65 plus 57 plus something, I'll call it x, equals 180 degrees. I'm going to grab a calculator just because, you know what? Calculators are great. So if I go 65 plus 57, that equals 122. So 122 degrees plus something has to equal 180. Now, if I subtract 122 from both sides, x will then equal, that cancels out, 180 minus 122 is 58 degrees. So therefore, that angle has to be 58 degrees for all three to add up to 180. So you do that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Kind of be tricky here. There's a right angle, so that's got to be 90 degrees right there. So be aware of that. It gets a little tricky down here, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because what we're doing is now we're taking all our knowledge and combining it into one. So, for example, let's do this, number 6. Okay? So I know these three angles inside the triangle add up to 180 degrees. I also know that this angle right here is 35 degrees. And its vertical angle, which is straight across from it, will then also be 35 degrees. If you didn't understand that, this angle and the angle next to it have to add up to 180. And 180 minus 35 is 145. And if this is 145, then that has to be 35 because they have to add up to 180 because they're on a straight line. So I've now found that this is 100, this is 35. I want to find the question marks. Well, I now can find this angle inside because these two angles add up to 135. And if I go 135 and subtract it from 180, right? So 135 subtracted from 180 is 45 degrees. 45 plus 35 is 80 plus 100, that's 180 degrees. But I'm trying to find this question mark. But look, it's on a straight line, meaning this angle and that angle add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 45 is 135 degrees. And there's the answer. Okay, you have to use, basically look for the 180s. You've got to use your knowledge to figure it out. I'll do another example here so you can just kind of see it. So this angle is 137, and this angle has to help it add up to 180. So I go 180 minus 137, and I find that to be 43. Okay, I want to find this angle outside here, but I need to know this angle then. Oh, but there's a triangle. 102 plus 43 is 145. If I subtract that from 180, I find this to be 35 degrees. Those three angles add up to 180. If this is 35 degrees, well, this angle plus that angle has to equal 180. So 180 minus 35 is 145 degrees. Okay, here's a couple of examples in the interior angle